Right now, we're headed to Chicago. The Warriors and the Bulls. Mike Breen, Jeff Van Gundy, and Monabic could not have the call. Enjoy the game. We'll see you at the half. Mike Breen, take it away.
Thank you, Mike. A typical winter Friday evening in Chicago. That means it's nice and cold. Well, the Chicago fans have some Bulls fever this season to keep them warm. And tonight, a big crowd expected sellout at the United Center as they face off against the Golden State Warriors, the first game of our Friday night doubleheader. And it's a matchup, two of the NBA's elite teams. Golden State, second best record in the NBA, second best record in the West, right behind Phoenix. And the Chicago Bulls, number one in the East. As we welcome you to NBA Courtside, presented by DoorDash. Steph Curry had 40 in the first game against the Bulls earlier this season. He might need it again tonight. Meanwhile, DeMar DeRozan, the number one reason for this terrific turnaround for the Chicago Bulls. And good evening, everyone. Along with Jeff Van Gundy, Mike Breen on hand, Monabic McNutt with us as well. This is a fun matchup between two of the best teams in the NBA. Unfortunately for both of them, they're coming off their ugliest, worst losses of the season in their last games. Let's start with Golden State. They're 1-4 in their last 5 games. And Steph Curry, who's been brilliant most of the season, all of a sudden he's struggling a bit, Jeff.
Yeah, pressing a little bit. Quality of shots may not be quite as good, but everybody goes through these struggles. And his struggles are exaggerated by the absence of Draymond Green, trying to work Klay Thompson back into the lineup. And so there are many, many factors that go into Curry being down a little bit, but I have no doubts he'll bounce back and bounce back quickly.
And tonight, no Draymond Green and no Klay Thompson. With more on that, let's check in with Monica.
Well, Mike, there will be no Klay Thompson either after 11 points in 21 minutes yesterday. And Steve Kerr says the Warriors are taking his return slowly and case by case. Right now, he's on a minutes restriction of playing about 18 to 20 minutes. And the next step is simply to play about 22 to 24 minutes. But it's no doubt that his return to basketball has energized all basketball fans, and that includes DeMar DeRozan, who's known Klay since he was 11 years old. They were in the same 2008 high school class. He said when Klay returned, he texted him immediately that he was so happy for him and that his return was good for the game, and it was great to see because he knows how much Klay has poured into the game. Mike, he used one word to describe Klay's return, and that word was remarkable.
All right, Monica. Well, remarkable, a pretty good way to describe what DeMar DeRozan has done for the Chicago Bulls, and it's time for our greatest delivery brought to you by DoorDash. That delivery was getting DeRozan here in Chicago.
Yeah, big props to Arturas Karnisovas, the lead decision maker in Chicago. He was criticized for bringing DeRozan here, but DeRozan and Zach LaVine together give them a dynamic tandem that has really catapulted them into the upper echelons of the Eastern Conference. And how does DeRozan do it? Well, he does it in many different ways. He is so very good at manipulating the defense, getting into his mid-range shot, and knocking it home. He can run pick and roll. And you look at his tempo and rhythm, Mike, it's just not fast, but it's efficient. And then he can also isolate and post you. Here against the smaller Kyrie Irving, backs in, look at the footwork, the shot fake, the step through, and the layup. And he's become a better and better passer as his career has gone on.
He's 32 and he's in his 13th year and maybe playing some of the best basketball of his NBA career. Coming up next, Courtside continues from the United Center in Chicago.
This team now is a legitimate threat to win it all.
The Golden State Warriors going to win the chip.
The ceiling is the finals. This is a very talented team. Expect the unexpected.
I'm on fire. I gotta get it. It's money. It's cold, hard cash for Klay Thompson. Run it up, show you how to get a buck. If they own you, switch it up. I'm on fire.
For the win.
NBA Courtside on ESPN is presented by DoorDash, the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA.
Did I miss yet? I said I was gonna miss.
Dr. Martin Luther King was not considered a sportsman, but his vision for an America where content of character reigns supreme reflects the core value of sports. Nowhere is Dr. King's ideal more evident than in the National Basketball Association, where African Americans have established a phenomenal legacy. This wasn't always so. From outright banning black players to enforcing racial quotas, the NBA initially followed the norms of a racist society when it came to its treatment of African Americans. Eventually, those barriers fell.
I may not get there with you.
By the time Dr. King was assassinated in 1968, African American dominance in the NBA epitomized Dr. King's dream of a world where talent and drive were all that mattered. Today, the NBA continues to be defined by black athletes and black style. Dr. King gave black athletes a voice. His death encouraged them to become activists and push the league to embrace social justice issues. In Dr. King's memory, black athletes continue to echo the meaning of his life.
United Center in Chicago, the home of the Bulls, of course, Michael Jordan and the championship Bulls, as we have the Golden State Warriors and the Bulls on an NBA Friday, presented by State Farm. Bulls are back this year, best record in the Eastern Conference, 27-12 overall, 15-5 here on their home floor, and now facing off against the Warriors as we look at our starting lineups. And delivered by Taco Bell. And both teams dealing with some key players out. Draymond Green, Klay Thompson not playing tonight, so Otto Porter will start. Jordan Poole back in the starting lineup. Meanwhile, Troy Brown Jr. will start at power forward for the first time this season. They have three power forwards out. Derrick Jones Jr. just got hurt. Javonte Green, Patrick Williams. So Billy Donovan going with Troy Brown Jr. But he's got Zach LaVine, he's got DeMar DeRozan. And it'll be interesting, Jeff, to see how these teams play tonight, because both of them came off just ugly losses. Last night, Golden State got just blitzed in Milwaukee by the Bucks. And on Wednesday night, Chicago took a home beating by the Brooklyn Nets.
Sometimes the other teams just play better than you. And I think in both those games, it wasn't necessarily what the Warriors or the Bulls didn't do. It was how well the Nets and the Bucks played.